the Saluspa Laguna. This is the cover for it. And this one right here, you inflate halfway, slip it in here, and make sure that valve is pointing outwards. I don't need this. I might use it, but I'll give you a quick overview on how to do it. I might do it towards the end of the video, but we're gonna focus on how you use the pump. The controls will be the most confusing part of this element. What you first do is you unravel this, and you unravel this. This thing opens up, and it'll be doubled in. Open it up and set it out. You'll have some holes here, and that's where these go into. So we'll pull these through. And you also have a one-way valve. See that? You need to screw this into this hole. So I'll show you all these, and it may be confusing at first. You know, this is kind of alien compared to many different things. This is where you inflate it. So you'll put this in, and you'll hook up the hose to here, and it will inflate it. It takes 5 to 6 minutes. This is your air bubble. You know, this is the air goes through here and makes the bubbles and all that. And then this is your hot water, you know, hot water filter that keeps it clean and warm. That's what those two are for. And they hook up directly to your machine. Now be careful when playing around with these pipes. They're good quality, but at the same time, if you over tighten these, they could break, or if you put them on sideways, you could break them, and then you'll have to end up getting a new one. So be very careful with that. So this is completely deflated. I'm going to put these in these holes like that. Just like that. And then we have this piece, and to screw these on, just look at the thread. See how that goes up that way? So this is your inflator. And it will be counterclockwise since the see, it's pretty difficult to do with one hand. Let's see if I can do it. You got to hold it perfectly up against the seal. And do use, if you want to use some soap and water and put it on those rubber seals, it will help it last longer. And don't tighten this too hard. You know, just give it a hand tight. You don't want it really tight, because all this does is inflate, and most of the air evacuates through these holes. So be gentle with it. This piece pops out. Make sure this piece is slid in here like that, and then turn it tight. Then we're going to insert it into this hole like that. And just kind of press it in there. Make sure all your holes are fine. Plug it into the wall. Make sure it turns on. So you got to hold it down for a few seconds. And this is the air bubble. This is what makes the bubbles. So this is typically, this blows out a ton of air, right? It hooks into here, and those holes blows air through all these little holes, which simulates a real jacuzzi or hot tub or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to go ahead and start it. Make sure the bottom is underneath, all around. Alright, so you're going to stop it when it's pretty much halfway, and you're going to make sure these things line up really good with the hole, because when it's inflated too much, you can't move it around at all. I can move this whole thing with my 2 fingers, but when it's inflated too much, you can't move it, you know, no matter how strong you are due to the friction. So all these are coming through the holes. It's very comfortable. If you want to take this off, which you will need to, this is how you deflate it. I'll go ahead and show you. Air is coming out. It's really quiet because it's probably at 1 or 2 psi. But that's how you deflate it. So we'll go ahead and screw this in, and we'll continue. I can feel the air blowing through those holes all the way back here. Okay, so we're done with the inflation progress. Now this thing doesn't let any air out. This is a one-way valve, which means air can enter, but it can't come out. Either way, we are still going to put this cap on in case the valve does malfunction, which then air will be released, and this thing could, you know, potentially lose a little bit of water. So now we're going to set this up where I can have this valve out. Somewhat. See how that wasn't too tight? That's just what you need. See that band right here, this seal? Make sure you lubricate it, because if you don't, it could wear out quicker in the future. So instead of this lasting, you know, this thing could probably last 4 or 5 years working great, but if you're taking this thing apart and putting it back together, it's not going to last as long. I'm going to start all of them, and then I'll tighten them afterwards. And if I can do this one hand, you can easily do this. So don't feel intimidated. You don't have to have some handyman come over and put this together unless you don't have time for it. Well, make sure you have it unplugged. And you cannot operate the pump on this until there's water going through it. Okay. The next process will be putting more hardware on. I want to cut the video because I have to finish making my salmon. So the cool thing is they give you 2 filters. So what a filter looks like, and this is your filter housing. So I'm going to open it up, show you what it looks like inside. You just kind of pry this open. It's a lot easier with 2 hands. Okay. It's the same either way. Goes on like that. And this is the same way you change your filter too in the future. And do make sure you do that. It's harder on the pump and it's dirtier when you don't. Alright. Just kind of give it a little finger tight. Okay. So the connections are different, so you can't get this mixed up. So don't worry if you think you did, or you might, because you can't. These are where they go on. And the cap was a little hard to take off. Okay, so see the threads in here? Okay, just turn it tight. Don't over tighten it. Be gentle when you're in the pool. Kind of rests on the bottom, so that does help a lot. Then this piece actually slid out. And also, here's a cool thing. You can kind of measure these seals. You know, measure the diameter of the outside and the inside and the thickness, and you can order a whole new set, so you can keep this pool up and going for pretty much forever. This piece slides in just like that. Clicks in, and this is for putting chemicals in. I'm going to see if I can put Epsom salts in it. That's the only thing I would put in here. And something to sterilize any bacteria that may decide to grow. So I'm going to double check the directions, but at this point it looks like we're ready to start filling it up. Okay, so good news. All we need to make sure is that this part right here is closed. This is where your water drains out of. Right there. Just close it. Then out here, you can hook a water hose to this. So when you drain it, you just snug that. Not too tight, you know, just like you're putting a cap on a bottle, but a little, slightly harder. And then put a water hose on this, and you can drain this whole pool, you know, anywhere you want, you know, because it just matters where the end of the other hose goes. So we got that on. Make sure it's, you know, a little grippy tight in case this thing flips open. So we got that taken care of. And now all we have to do is start filling it with water. Once it goes above this, you can start heating the pool. So you'll turn it on and you'll click this heat button, and this adjusts your heat. I'm going to look into it specifically so you guys will know exactly how to use this, and I'll show you guys when it's filling up. Alright guys, so it's going good. All I've done is just hook the hose up and start letting it fill up. We're going to check for leaks. There's barely any water in it, and all you have to check for is these two spots. And when I say these two spots, that is if your pool hasn't, you know, been cut or anything. Is right here. Right here. You want to make sure there's no water falling out of that. Make sure these things are nice and snug. Like that. Not super tight. Remember, don't do it super tight or you're going to hurt it. Make sure this is snug as well so no air comes out. And you're pretty much set. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I'm going to time it so you can find out too. And well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and stop and fill this up in case I do use it. So I got it disconnected. The water's not high enough for anything to spill out yet. Be careful when you use a knife not to puncture this. It's pretty thick material, but it's not knife proof. we're gonna open this up, see what it looks like. There we go, just like that. And I'm just gonna stick it in here and inflate it all the way. Alright, so we gotta make sure. Yep, there's our valve. See that? It needs to be on the outside. Well, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just let it inflate. It's too wide, deflated. Due to the nature of air, PSI, everything is evenly distributed, so it will evenly displace itself under the cover. Make sure you close it quickly. And tight. There we go. And then you can push it down in there. Hopefully that's not a pain to get back out. So we got this done. I'm going to keep it back there, and that's probably where I'm going to store it. Go ahead and hook this thing back up. Okay, I'm gonna think for a minute if I want this here or a little bit back. I do want to make sure I have room there, because this pool weighs like 1,400 pounds, so it is impossible to move it unless you drag it across the floor. Dang, it's already super heavy. I guess it's not too bad. If I'm ever walking by, I can just shut off the heat, you know, if I'm looking to save energy, or if I want to activate it to get it warm. So I might just use it as a storage area. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up, and I'll give you guys a brief summary on the average fill time it takes and how long it takes to heat it up. Also, I want to let you know, you can't put this pool together outside if it's under a certain temperature, because this pump will run a default code and it won't work. I think it says it somewhere in the right there. If the temperature is below 50 Fahrenheit or 10 Celsius, keep the package indoor where the temperature is above 59 Fahrenheit for at least 2 hours before inflation. This will make it more flexible and easier to set up. Open the package in the same room with well, you guys can read this unless you lost your directions. So the water temperature used to fill the spa must be above 42 Fahrenheit. Otherwise, when you begin to operate the spa heater, the EO3 alarm will appear. It is really cold outside, so I really do hope it's above 42. I might end up, man, I don't know what to do about that. Hopefully it still works with the code, and it might damage your, the pump running cold water through it. So we'll see what happens. I'll just have to figure out a way to heat it up. But just remember, that's a lot of water, so probably gonna have to figure out a good way to heat it up if you're in a cold area. Okay guys, so good news, 20 minutes and boom, it's over that, and even a little bit above. It's almost to the minimum level, so I can almost use it. So this thing is fast. I mean, it's not too small, not too big. We'll see how hot, how quickly it gets. It's still really cold. It's at 48. I just turned it on. I'm going to go over the whole button system so you guys know exactly how to use it. And I'll probably post this video separate. That's a short video, so in the future, if you need to, you'll have that video. I'm going to start with it off. To turn it off, it takes 2 seconds of touching the button. And you can hear the pump turned off. Hold it down 2 seconds. We'll start on the left. This is the child safety lock. After 5 minutes of inactivity of it being on, it turns on. You can manually turn it on or off with I think a 3-second touch. So, demonstrate. It's on. It's off. Here's your heat button. This activates your heat pump. So what it does is it filters water, pulls it in through here, pushes it out through the top, and that's why your filter's on the bottom. It's sucking in all that water and catching it in the filter. Make sure to check your filter every once in a while, especially if it's outside. You probably have to just read how many run hours it can last. That's your heat button. I was trying to turn, no, this is your filter button, this is your heat button. I was trying to just only do heat, but it always does the filter. So you can do just filter or heat and filter. This is your air bubble button. This is the coolest one. That will run for 30 minutes consistently and then shut off. The eco button is pretty useful. It can turn off after 1 or 2 hours. I think that's how it works. I'll have to look into it further, or we'll just look at it. Yeah, confirm the heating duration. So you can set how many hours this will heat the pool. And when you have that cover on it and this thermal cover, this thing's going to stay warm. It's like your coffee cup, I guess. So anyways, we got it on. Now we can adjust the temperature. It can go up to 104. It starts out around 96. I'm in Fahrenheit for you guys who use Celsius, 36, and it goes up to 40 Celsius. So not too bad. I'm probably gonna leave it around there. Start out, see how it feels. I don't want to start at the max, you know, because then I can't have any temperature go up higher. So this is pretty much it. This slides down, and then you got two cup holders here. This is obviously all waterproof, and the way how you want to disconnect everything is you want to hook your hose, take that cap off, hook your hose, run it out of your house if it's in your house, or you know, just drain it outside if it's an outside pool. Once it's drained, you'll still obviously have a little bit of water. You'll start lifting these sides until it all funnels out to that corner, into that hole. Then you'll just have a little bit of water to play with. Then you'll deflate it, and once you deflate it, you can kind of angle it right towards that hole, get as much water out. Then you can flip this upside down or leave it in the sun, you know, and just bundle it up and take it all apart, do the opposite, and it's good to go.